Hey friends, it's Henry here, and today we're going to be talking about Renegade Line, a wonderful, wonderful entry from Raw Vengeance, the studio that's producing it, which is going to be a lot like Battlefield Heroes in its art style and combat style and basically everything else. Um, so I'm going to talk about some general things that I'd like to see, some things I'd specifically like to see with classes, and also some things that I think should be avoided if at all possible, but again, I'm not making the game, they are, so I will leave it up to their good graces. Um, so what I've done is I've downloaded some of the alpha footage that they've released, and we're just going to talk through that. I might repeat a couple times because I have a fair amount of things to say, but that's okay. Also, stay tuned till the end of the video where I have a surprise announcement and some rather happy news. So, until then, let's go to the... So, to begin, we have this wonderful little charming vista of a quaint European village circa 1938. This looks a lot like a conglomerate of a bunch of different maps. The one where the allies are invading, for the life of me, I don't remember which one that is, but this kind of looks like Coastal Clash in some ways, so very familiar, welcoming sight. Inland Invasion, that's what it's called. As far as map choices go, I would like to see some more open maps. Maps with fewer choke points would be great. There are definitely some places in BFH which could get a little camp heavy, or just become so bogged down that they just wouldn't be that much fun. Riverside Rush comes to mind. Even though it was one of my favorite maps, it still was very slow paced, and you had to have really good teams who are willing to push to have a really fun game. So avoid the clusterfuck. Having said that, I would also like to see some different terrain types. I would like to see a desert map, which BFH somehow managed to completely avoid, even though that would have been a lot of fun. Could have made it Egyptian themed or something, I don't know. I would also really like to see a proper snow map, not just one of the weird reskins that they slapped onto a few BFH maps. Um, because some of those really didn't work. Winter, Buccaneer Bay Winter Night, I mean, nobody wants that. God, come on, people. So now we're going to get into some gameplay related things. Let's start with the soldier, since this appears to be the closest thing to the soldier that we get. The soldier was an interesting and often broken character in Battlefield Heroes. Broken, not for probably the reason you'd think. Soldiers in the higher tiers tended to camp a lot, and they didn't really have a lot of incentive to push with their team when they could kind of take on the entire team from the safety of some cover, and they could just heal and then spam the long-range pistol or burning bullets, and that would be the end of it. So there needs to be some incentive to help soldiers push. I'm not sure what that would look like yet, but I will keep thinking about it. I think there need to be more abilities in the game. For soldiers, they only had 5. Commandos had 6, and gunners also had 5. I think that really, realistically, to have some more replayability and tactics with the game, there probably should be closer to 8 or 9. Not sure what those would look like. But that would be good. You wouldn't see the same... Basically, once you reached a certain level, you would see the same combination of ability points, and even weapons. And that just really got old. So, that'd be good to see. For commandos, I think piercing shot, if you had an equivalent in mind for it getting added to Renegade Line, I don't think there should be one there. I don't think it was a good ability. I think that instead you should probably buff the default damage for sniper rifles. Well, for some sniper rifles, certainly for the default one, because the default one was garbage. But I would take it out. I also think that if you choose to build a character in a certain way, that the way you should go about doing it, for instance, when Commandos maxed out Mark Target, people got marked for a good period of time, everybody could see them on the map. What if we put like a percentage-based damage modifier so that whenever they got hit by somebody while they were marked, it did a little bit more damage? There are a couple of games that do something similar. I think it would be it could be beneficial here, because otherwise, commandos, unless you're trying to level up really quick by mark target spamming, then there's not really a huge incentive to help out the team that way, unless you're just capturing flags. So there's that. As far as the gunner goes, the gunner kind of went all over the place in BFH as far as balance is concerned. I think where the gunner ended up was pretty good. I think that the gunner could use more abilities. I had an idea for one thing which could be kind of fun. A combination of shield and IE's grenades, IEG, for those of you who remember such things. Basically, I like the idea of the gunner like planting a flag or an aura and having like an aura of protection or damage mitigation, if you will. Not damage removal, just damage mitigation. For like 3 or 4 seconds, I think it would give people more incentive to rush and to capture flags, which a lot of times is really hard to get people to do, for the reasons of camping that I've just mentioned. So, anyway, something I would like to see. Another thing that I would like to see is every class should have a melee weapon. I think that by itself would give people a lot more encouragement to experiment with different classes, different play styles, things they wouldn't normally do. But I think that would be fun. You know, commandos are the only ones who had it before, and knifing used to be really fun. And then we got a slew of widgets and, things that basically made... I don't normally side with commandos, but I do sympathize with the plight of the knifing commando. They did not have an easy road towards the end there. But then again, nobody did, because the game was pretty shitty. So there should be incentives for that. Make the melee weapons decently strong, or at the very least, make them interesting. I think it would be cool, I'm not sure how practical it would be, but I think it would be cool to have an engineer class if there are going to be vehicles in this game. If there aren't going to be vehicles in this game, then it's a moot point, but I really hated, there are certain people who would take tanks and planes, and I guess helicopters now, and would just go... People would abuse the plane glitch, flying way up high and then slowly descending to the ground, shooting you up. I found that very tedious. Same with tanks. On that note, another thing that I think would be great is either the removal or the nerfing of widgets. Widgets just kind of... most of the widgets in the game towards the end were either useless or required you to buy something or really didn't add much to the game. The widgets that I think should be kept would be wrenches, although I think that how many of them you can carry into a given battle should be reduced, and bandages. Now, bandages, I don't have a problem with how many of those you carry into a battle, but I got really tired of having to root the same 3 people off the top of a mountain who were camping in a tank. Something that could have been very easily avoided if either wrenches were less powerful or if you could carry less of them. That's just off the top of my head. I think, on a different note, since I'm looking at maps again, I think that there should be some sort of modding tool so that players can create their own maps. That's one thing that I really wish BFH had because it had a lot of potential map-wise, and it kind of squandered a lot of it. And I have some notes here. Player-created looks. I think it would be cool to give people the option to make their characters look a little bit more them, like designing a t-shirt for your character to wear or something like that. Just slap a graphic on it or something. Obviously, you would need to have a filter for profanity and sexual imagery and stuff like that, because this is a game that was very popular with younger kids, as we all know, which is both good and bad, so that would also be great to see. Now, granted, these are all off the top of my head, and I'll probably make another one of these once they release some more gameplay, but I think that these would be good changes and things that this should definitely have. Now, the final thing that I'm going to talk about, because they've talked about it, it's been mentioned on their website several times, competitive mode. I would love, absolutely love, for there to be some sort of league mode or, some ranked ladders for people to have. I think that there should be several different options for this. I think that it would be cool to have a 1v1 mode. I think a 3v3 is also a good number, kind of a good mid-level unit tactics sort of thing. And then maybe 6v6 or 8v8. I'm not sure what the final total or final number of players that are going to be available for this, but that would be my ideal for, any combination of those, really. I would like to see some more game modes. I think Capture the Flag was good for this, for BFH that is. Would like to see that make a return. The classic Conquest is still the best, obviously, but really didn't like the weird team elimination thing that came in towards the end. Thought it was kind of half-assed and just not that fun. The final thing is stats. A lot of players, to a lesser degree myself included, played for stats. That doesn't necessarily encourage the best sort of gameplay or people. So one of the things that I think could be good to implement would be a stat filter or a stat blocker, so that people could either hide their stats if they aren't particularly proud of them, or, well, who can really say? Not hide their stats, but the game should put less of a focus on stats so that people are less drawn to look at them. I feel like that would create a better community and would ultimately create a better response for the game, because it would truly be a casual, fun, not very serious shooter. I have more items or more things that I would say about not making the game pay to win, but I feel like the game is in pretty good hands right now. While I'm okay paying for some content, the amount of money that I put into BFH was a lot, and I would hate to have a similar thing happen I would hate to have it happen again, But again, I can only speculate at this point because not much more has been released beyond this video. I will put a link to the YouTube channel for Renegade Line in the description, along with a link to their website if you would like to learn more. Because obviously you're going to learn more there than you will from me. So there's that. One final thing to note, which is the surprise that I announced at the beginning of this video. I will be streaming on Twitch now. I will be streaming from my Xbox One, so you can expect to see a lot of the following. Black Ops 3, which I have and which I've been playing a lot, Fallout 4, which is a lot of fun, and occasionally, but not often, you will see the Master Chief Collection, and probably more as I get more games, but definitely the first two. Again, thank you all for watching. I know that I can be a little disjointed, but I hope that that was clear. Again, I'm going to be making another one of these videos once more stuff is released for it, so be sure to look for that. If you have any thoughts on things that you would like to see in Renegade Line, or any of the suggestions that I put forth, feel free to leave those in the comments. I will probably end up revising some of these views as more information is released, so don't be too judgmental of me if I end up being horribly wrong with some of these things, but I will... Anyway, I rest my case. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Give it a like if you're feeling generous. And I will also put a link to my Twitch channel in the description. Also stay tuned for a message from Alphadraft following the conclusion of the words that I'm saying here. So again, thanks guys, and have a wonderful day.
Are you an esports fan? Prove your knowledge and start winning cash on Alphadraft Fantasy Esports. This year, we'll pay out over $5 million in prizes to over 50,000 esports fans every single week. To play, first select from hundreds of contests from the hottest esports. Then, choose your team of pros and watch their stats update in real time during games. Right now, we'll match every dollar you deposit up to $250. What are you waiting for? Redeem your deposit bonus and play Alphadraft now.